Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Fighter Heart podcast. Today, we have the honor of sitting with Barb. Barb, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for the invite.
So, we like to get into it real quick around here. So, if you could give us a brief rundown about who you are, where you grew up, a little bit of your upbringing, and then we'll get into your Fighter Heart story.
So I am a child from born in the late 80s, but I'm a 90s kid. 1986 was when I was born, and I grew up in a very small coal mining town. And my grandfathers were both coal miners in this town and this region. And um they kind of sacrificed their body so my father could have a better life, so then we could have a better life, right? So my dad ended up owning a pharmacy and was a pharmacist growing up. So I kind of grew up in the world of medicine, if you will. And it's just a very small town in rural Pennsylvania. The town next to where Flight 93 crashed on 9/11. And the nearest city is a place called Johnstown, known for the Great Johnstown Flood. Al Roker wrote a book on it, weirdly enough. and and so we're kind of not known for positive things in these parts, right? And it's just tucked in the mountains. So I feel like my upbringing was pretty simple, playing outside, going in the woods, hanging out with friends. And I graduated in 2004 and I wanted to be a veterinarian. Went that route and was like, no, maybe I want to be a vet tech so I can work with the animals more. And so I moved 4 hours away to Scranton, Pennsylvania to pursue my dream of being a certified veterinary technician. And I was about 5 weeks away from becoming a certified veterinary technician with only an internship left when I was involved in a motor vehicle accident.
Mm.
And that motor vehicle accident left me paralyzed from the waist down. I have a T10 incomplete spinal cord injury, but I kind of mimic a complete spinal cord injury, which means the cord is completely severed. Um, Incomplete injuries, only a part of the cord is severed, and a part of my cord is severed, but the majority of it is severed. And so the only thing I really have is something called proprioception, which is I just kind of know where my legs are in space. And if you're not walking, that doesn't really do you much good. So
Yeah.
I don't have any feeling, sensation, movement, anything from the waist down. And that's kind of, I guess, where my fighter heart story kind of took off. And I really credit my successes to my family and to my upbringing completely. That same year I got paralyzed, my mom also suddenly died in her sleep. So, most women who get paralyzed early on at the age of 21 like that or younger, they really rely on their moms, right? Like your mom you want your mom to help you with personal things, right? And to not have her that early on, I think was more damaged me more than
The
the
injury itself.
injury itself. Yes.
Mm.
And I think that was really kind of what sparked a fuse in me. And for about a good decade, I struggled with depression and tried to figure out this new normal. I didn't want to accept this. I was just hoping one day I'd just go to sleep and not wake up, or magically I'll get better, because you don't see this type of representation of reality of a spinal cord injury in the media. You
Mm-mm.
see these representations of, oh, like for instance, I think of the one episode of Nip Tuck, if you guys remember that
Yeah.
from back in the early 2000s. The one plastic surgeon got stabbed and was paralyzed and used the wheelchair for a while. Then magically he got better, and it's like that's what you always see represented. So like it's so hard to process permanency, and especially when you're so young. And I think that was probably the part where I realized I kind of was sick of my own shit, if you will, right? Like I
Mm.
was sick of it and I had to do something. And I started to realize I had to take matters into my own hands. Like I kept playing victim in a way. Like oh, my wheelchair broke and now it doesn't work. And now this, why does this keep working this way? What's going on? And I wasn't taking the accountability to learn how like my wheelchair works, right? Like how to fix it. What do I need to do? Okay. Well, this insurance company is saying they won't pay for this, but the medical supply company is saying they're doing this. Well, why is this happening? Maybe I should learn some policy. Maybe I should look into these things because I can't expect people to want me to survive and thrive.
Hmm.
They're just, they want money, right? Like these
Yeah,
companies want money.
they're
They
all
don't,
businesses. Yeah.
yeah, like I need to take accountability for me to fight for me. And like a lot of people, like their parents will typically take that role. Well, my dad worked full time with his pharmacy. I was home alone. My sister, she lives nearby. She worked full time as a therapist. My brother lives nearby, but he worked full time as a chiropractor, and they're busy in their careers, right? Like that's their dream and that's what they want to do. And I'm over here like wanting them to do things for me. They're like, no. And so that's kind of where I feel like my fighter spirit really kind of took off, was kind of in this place of all these tragedies happening and like, oh, poor me. And like, yeah, it's crappy what's happening to me, that these companies are and all these things are happening, but it's up to me to fight for me, to learn
Yeah.
these systems, to understand what's about to happen, or to be proactive. And so
You
that's
kind of stopped feeling bad for yourself, pretty much, right?
exactly. And it's like, okay, and even now, like when something bad happens to me, I'm always like, what could I have done to been proactive in this? Because at the end of the day, you can always go, well, I could have been proactive in this by maybe if I would have learned more about this topic before I went into this, or whatever it is, you can always think of something. Like even my accident, I could have not gotten paralyzed and gone through everything I did if I would have wore a seatbelt. And so that's, you have to take some self accountability at the end of the day. And even when bad things happen to you, sometimes maybe there is a way that's like, okay, yeah, that there's no way that could have done anything. But what did you
Yeah.
learn from it to make sure it doesn't happen again?
Yeah, got you. All right, so let's get on a timeline a little bit though.
Mhm.
So going back, the accident was in like '06, something like that.
Good job. It was December 30th of 2007. So you're close.
2007. Okay. So '07. And what happened? Were you driving? Was someone else driving?
I was driving my vehicle. I was visiting my family for Christmas that year, and I was heading back to work a job I had up in Scranton and finish my internship. And I was on 81 northbound, which is one of the major interstates that go through Scranton and is like the whole eastern side corridor. And because it was like New Year's Eve, there was heavy truck traffic. And it was 2007. So we didn't have smartphones that were like, hey, alert, you're heading into a winter storm.
Yeah.
When I left my region, it was like 50 degrees and raining. And I had a Cavalier, like a 2002 Cavalier. So there was no like temperature gauge in there to say, hey, the temperature is,
Dropping.
35
Yeah.
or yonder, you should probably go slower. There was none of that. Right. And so I was completely unaware of what I was really driving into. Apparently, I was driving into a winter storm I was unaware of. And I had my cell phone in my back pocket, and I did have my seatbelt on when I left, and I had to unclip my seatbelt to get my phone out of my pocket to let my ex-fiance know like I was 2 hours away. And so that's what I did. I put it back in my back right pocket, thankfully, and I got distracted with that truck traffic in going through our capital in Harrisburg, and I never put the seatbelt back on. And
Um,
I was heading into the storm, and I hit a patch of black ice on the highway. And there were two cars like that had their four ways on following each other. And I thought, oh, well, maybe there's something's wrong, and a relative's following the other one. So I
Hmm.
got into the passing lane, and as I was passing them is whenever I started to fishtail. And when I fishtailed, I mean, now again, I know I did the wrong thing. I hit the brakes. And when I hit the brakes, I lost control at that moment, and I knew it. And I had a split second decision to make: take my wheel to the right and hit those vehicles with people in it, or take my wheel to the left. And what I thought was a field between the two, for the four lanes, I thought there was like a field there, and there was a field, to be fair, but I hit the trees at the end of the field.
Uh,
And so I took the wheel to the left just to avoid other people harm in this matter. And I was just hoping I'd spin and just stop in this field. And that's not what happened. I hit into the trees. The back end of my vehicle went up into the trees, and I was paralyzed on impact. I flew between the seat, like width of this much between both seats, in a two-door Cavalier. And I'm a 6 foot tall woman, plus size girl, over here. And the reason why I fit through that was because my back broke, and I was in the back seat of my vehicle trying to breathe. And I, at that point, like, I was on my back, and like my butt was back here in the back. It
wow.
was it was so wild. And I just remember not being able to breathe. And I was trying to get my cell phone out to call 911, but the person next to me that saw this happen pulled over, and they were like a medic with the military. And I kept saying, "Get my legs off me, dude," and he wouldn't, because he didn't want to do
Want
more
to
harm.
touch
And
you?
I'm
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sitting there thinking now, like looking back, like, dude, like I'm losing oxygen to my brain, and they're not going to transport me rolled up in a ball. They're going to
Yeah.
flatten you out. Like, that's all I wanted you to do.
Yeah.
But he called 911, and they had to cut me out of my vehicle. They completely took off the roof of my car and the driver's seat of my car to get me out, because it was a two-door car. And I got transported to the nearest hospital. And they did, I think it was like a 10-hour long surgery, put two rods and nine pins into my back to stabilize me. And that was where I started my journey as now a paraplegic. And I got sent to a rehab that I don't understand why I went to this rehab now, looking back in retrospect, but I somehow fell through the cracks. And I say this because in Pennsylvania we have two what they call spinal cord injury model systems, one in Philly and one in Pittsburgh, and they did not take me to either one of those. They took me to some small rehab instead, and I was there for about 3 months learning how to live my life as a paraplegic.
Jeez, were you going like in and out of consciousness while getting transferred to the hospital?
No, so I actually remember absolutely everything.
Oh,
um every moment I remember. um I My body started to go into shock on the way to the hospital, because at that point the winter storm has now hit. And so it took a little bit longer than they wanted. And I guess because of the weather they couldn't do a life flight, is what my family said. So they took me in an ambulance. And it was the shock that I remember very vividly. It was the most bizarre experience. I've never felt like that hot in my body before. Like, it felt like I was cooking on the inside, but I was shivering and shaking uncontrollably on the outside, that they thought I was like cold. So they turned on the heat in the ambulance. And I'm like, no, dude, like, no heat,
not
please.
that. Yeah.
And that's the only thing but I remember everything. Once I got to the hospital and they determined like I didn't have a concussion or anything, and I was safe to go under anesthesia to fix my back, that's when they gave me like pain medicine, and I was more in and out of consciousness at that point because of the pain medicine. But
At what point did they let you know that you're not going to be able to walk?
so while I was in the ambulance, a lot of the medical talk they were talking, I understood what they were saying because of my vet tech training, because animals and people, well, you can kind of figure things out, right? And so they kept trying to put IVs in my arm, and they've always had issues getting IVs in my arm. Now I know all my veins are deep, but the guy told me he stabbed me 37 times in my arms, and I didn't feel him do it at all. And that's when in my brain I'm like, something is really wrong with me if my brain is not letting me feel this. Like, and that's a thing I kind of want to let people also know. Like when you hear my story, it's like that sounds so painful and scary, and oh my God, there is some solace in it that your brain protects you from that level of pain. So I didn't feel the pain of my back breaking because my brain protected me, and it was like kind of peaceful, really. And
Wow.
so when they were taking my trying to get an IV started and I didn't feel it, that's when it kind of dawned on me just from my training, like something is really wrong with me if I'm not feeling that. And then the guy goes, well, did you feel this? And I was like, what, feel what? And he was like, she has an SCI, turn around and go to Geisinger. And I'm like, SCI, what's that? Because in the animal world, we put animals down usually with spinal cord injury. So it's not something we really work with.
Mm.
Circa 2007, everyone. I'm sure now, there's animal wheelchairs and stuff you see,
Yeah.
but that wasn't a thing in
Crutches.
2007, really.
Yeah.
And so, that was something that I was like, okay. And once I got to the hospital, I remember going through the CT machine, and then the doctor was like in pajamas, and I was like, I'm so sorry I got you out of bed. And he's like, oh honey, I don't think you did this on purpose. I would
Mm.
hope not, but I'm sorry to tell you, you're never gonna walk again.
Wow, they
And I
said it
was
just
like,
like that.
yes. And I was like never. And he's like, honey, no. And I'm like, uh, okay. And then I heard my ex-fiance's voice in the background, and he's like, the doctor then started to say, we're going to put rods into your back, and this is the surgery we're going to do. We need you to sign this paper. And I couldn't sign it. I just was like,
Yeah, you just
and
drove.
so my ex-fiance had to sign on my behalf at the time. But yeah, it was, I was fully conscious. I knew fairly quickly once I got to the hospital that I was paralyzed.
Yeah.
And I didn't really understand what that fully meant in its entirety. I just was like, oh, I can't walk. I don't I didn't realize all the other things that come with being paralyzed in the moment. So,
Yeah.
um, and again, I'm from like a medical family, and when I think back, my grandpa actually had a spinal cord injury, and my brother's one hockey friend got a spinal cord injury, and I still had no concept of any of it.
Yeah.
It's like that close proximity to me, and I still just like
Do you
that's
remember the point when it finally sunk in? Like, I'm not going to be able to walk anymore. Like, and how you felt at that point?
yeah. I thought I was going to magically get better, like I said. I was like, I'm going to bust my ass and I'm going to walk again. And I'm going to be that
Nip tuck.
0.01%.
Nip tuck.
Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be that person. I'm gonna do that. And I mean, my family spent a lot of money on therapies, on equipment, and we spent so much time and energy and effort on rehab. And I mean, I'm not saying it was probably bad for me, but I also wasn't gaining anything back. Like there was a point that I just stopped progressing. Like I hit a plateau,
Mhm.
and that's when insurance cut me off completely from any type of paying for any type of PT, OT, things like that once I plateaued. And I feel like it was probably around the time that I plateaued that I realized I think this is permanent. But it wasn't until probably about the 5 year mark that it really dawned on me. Like I knew what they were saying, that this is permanent. And like I remember crying about things that I was probably never going to do, even if my legs did work. Like I'm never going to be able to skydive again. And I'm like, I
Climb
would
Mount
never
Everest.
skydive in a
Yeah.
in a never in a million years. Like I
Yeah.
never would do that.
Yeah.
Just random things that you're like crying about. That's like I'm never going to do that anyways. Why am I upset about this, right? But
Mhm.
it's just the fact that now it's in your brain in the moment. You're like, that's not possible now. And there are ways to do these things. Like I know people who are paralyzed who have went skydiving and stuff. There's adaptive things, but you
Mhm.
don't know that in that moment. And it was probably, like I said, a 5 year mark that I kind of accepted it. But it was really by the 10 year mark that I was like, okay, this is what it is, and let's go.
So that was like 20, what, 19, the 10-year mark?
2018 is
20.
around 2017, 2018 was about the time I was more accepting of it and understanding that this is permanent and this is it. And I
And
got to make the most out of it.
yeah, so how were you able to make that click in your head? Like, it's time for me to make the most out of this right now. Like you said before, I'm not feeling bad for myself anymore. Like, did someone have a conversation with you, or was this all internal?
I think was all internal. A thing that I think my family actually did fairly right in this was they just kind of let me do my thing. They supported me, they helped me, but they weren't like, you have to go get a job, you have to go do this, you have to get, like, they were not forceful with that. They understood I needed that time to process and kind of cook with it. And I do think that it was just time and also aging, right? Like your prefrontal cortex doesn't develop until your late 20s, right? And try going through this at 21. I
Mhm.
think that had a key in it also, is just I'm maturing. And I think that all kind of clicked together by the time I was like 30. I was like, okay, like it is what it is. And I have to figure my life out. And what am I going to do? And, what I was going to do was apparently run and be Miss Wheelchair Pennsylvania in
Mhm.
2018, and I didn't think I was going to win. I was like, yeah, let's just do something fun to do. Like, am I a pageant girl? Like, I'm covered in tattoos. Like, no. I was like, I ain't gonna win. Like, whatever. And I won. And I'm
Oh,
like,
you did? Oh,
yeah. And I
wow.
was like, now what am I gonna do? Like, and I'm like, I have not been around the disability community. Now I'm the face of all disabled people in Pennsylvania. What did I just sign up for? And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to do this and I'm going to just be open minded. I'm going to talk to people. I'm going to do my best to represent them and I'm going to hear their concerns. I'm going to learn from them. I'm going to just take this year, well, 10 months. I only had a 10-month reign. These 10 months and do what the most I can do with it. And that's what I did. I made the most of that opportunity when so many other women get this opportunity and don't make the most out of it. I, built a name for myself in my local area. Was on the news. I'm now on a statewide commercial for an insurance company. I mean, I like the amount of opportunities I got because I made the most out of winning Miss Wilshire, Pennsylvania, is mind blowing. And now the majority of my friends are now disabled, which is crazy. I never would have thought I'd been friends with chicks in chairs. And now most of my friends are chicks in chairs and with varying disabilities. And it just, the whole experience really changed my outlook on disability. It really gave me that kind of camaraderie I think I needed all along, but I didn't know how I needed it. And the thing about Miss Wheelchair America, there's a difference between Miss Wheelchair America and Miss Wheelchair USA. But I'm part of the Miss Wheelchair America world. So Miss Wheelchair America is an advocacy-based organization. And so it's more about how well you articulate yourself and your message and your platform rather than like presentation. So that's why the tattoos, it didn't matter.
Yeah,
And so
they're not judging you.
exactly. I was like, it was more about what I was saying and what I was capable of. And yeah, I ended up taking over the Miss Wheelchair Pennsylvania program after my reign. I ended up becoming a board member for the a national organization. And like, I got more involved with other disability organizations like Centers of Independent Living, learning about the independent living movement. And, by then, I started a chapter with United Spinal in my rural region, offering peer support and activities for wheelchair users in our region. I co founded that with two other guys, and we still do that. And I ended up going and becoming the only plus size model for the clothing company Torrid, who uses a wheelchair, probably going to be their only one given my experience there. So, I mean, I've
It's
done
just
some pretty cool
endless
things.
opportunities
Yeah.
that
And it
came
was
from
like,
it.
I
Yeah.
never would have thought in a million years like this injury would have opened up all these doors. And I just never saw that, right?
But if you never put yourself out there and applied, you never would have known anyway.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
then what's even cooler was Miss Wheelchair America led me to um, my college that I ended up graduating from because I was at an abilities expo in Edison, New Jersey, representing Miss Wheelchair America. And the college just started a disability studies program. And the professor was like at the table, saw me wheel by with my sash and was like, "What's a sash about?" And I started talking to her and explaining it to her. And she's like, "What's your education in?" And I'm like, actually, I don't have a degree in anything, really. Long story short, I'm technically a vet tech, but not really.
Yeah.
And then she was like, and she handed me the paper. She's like, here, you should look into this. And I was like, yeah, whatever. And I want nothing to do with an education after my headache I went through. So I just kind of pushed it into a tote. And then during the pandemic, I was cleaning and found it. And my gut said, do this. And I'm like, do what? And I looked down and I saw it. I'm like, oh. I'm like, well, let me look into this more. And so I did, and I was able to advocate for this college to take all 76 of my credits and recognize that I had an associate degree from credits that were like 15 to 20 years old when everywhere else was like, we're not taking any of them. Because, like, how do you recognize large animal class, you know? And so they took all my credits and recognized me as having an associate degree. And then I was able to effectively advocate for them to also recognize my lived experience of running two nonprofits and submit a portfolio to get credits for real life
Oh
experience for
wow.
classes. And so I was able to do that for three different classes there. And I was able to get 9 credits that way. And at that point, I only had 3 semesters left, and I graduated summa cum laude from William Patterson University of New Jersey. And then I went on to pursue my master's degree at CUNY School of Professional Studies and Disability Studies, and I graduate in December of this year.
Oh wow. You're here, right? So we're back to modern time now.
Yep, yep. It's
Wow.
like it's all because I did Miss Wheelchair America
Yeah.
that I got to my education, and I'm like, who would have thought?
Yeah. West Wheelchair, Pennsylvania, actually was the real
Yes.
start. Yeah.
Yep,
And
yep.
then it
It's
all led
Miss.
into that's wild.
It is. And Miss Wheelchair Pennsylvania in 2018 definitely changed my life. It gave me a different like outlook on disability. It made me realize, disability isn't like a curse. It's just a natural part of the human experience. I just happened to experience it sooner because everyone is going to age into disability, whether temporary or long term, if you live long enough. And isn't that the goal, is to live as long as possible, right? And so everyone's going to get a disability at some point in time. And I think that was something that really helped me to understand that, okay, this just happened to me sooner than other people, but everyone is one car ride away from this happening. And the more people I meet with spinal cord injuries, the more wild stories I hear. Like, they trip on a carpet and they break their neck and now they're
Oh
a
yeah.
quadriplegic, or
I
they,
interviewed some guy. He ran off a curb. He was just jogging and he
yeah,
paralyzed.
yes,
Like
that's what
any
I'm,
like he
it's
jogs every
so.
day for miles.
And that's
And-
the thing, like, our bodies are so delicate, and I don't think people really understand how delicate our bodies are and how close everyone is to this life. Like, one stupid trip on a curb,
He didn't
right?
even
Like,
trip. He just went off. He jumped off the curb like awkwardly, and his whole spine goes out, and he's paralyzed. Like, how wild is that?
there was this girl that was like lifting weights at the gym and her spine went out and
Yeah,
she got paralyzed. Like,
yeah,
and she was
like,
like a fitness model. I'm like,
yeah. This guy was military, and
it,
he was jogging every day. Yeah.
you never know. And I think that's, to me, something that I want people to, like, just, one, be grateful for what you have and the abilities you have, and to use those abled privileges, if you will, of how you can help live your life to the fullest. Don't get hung up on stupid shit. And sorry if I don't know if
No,
I'm allowed to swear.
you're allowed to. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Don't get hung up on stupid shit, and just understand, like, there's so much more to life than whatever you think is the issue now. And I always kind of look at it now, like, when I'm going through something, like, okay, one, is this worse than getting paralyzed and losing my mom the same year? No. Okay, well, whatever. Or is this going to be a problem in a year from now? If it's not, then it's not really a problem. It's just an inconvenience, right?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people just get hung up on the negativity. And I mean, I can fall down the pipeline of negativity just as much as the next person, right? But at the end of the day, I have that perspective to lean on, to look at it and go, okay, I've lived through worse. Like, I'll make it through this. And if I don't, it is what it is, right? Like,
You'll always
it's
make
fine.
it through. It's always good. Yeah.
Yeah, and even, I mean, again, we all have to die also, right? Like, that's the only thing in life you're promised, is you're born and you die. Like, those are the only promises. So again, if that were to happen, right? Like, did I live my life the way I wanted to with what I do have left? Did I do the best that I could do? Did I help as many people as I could? Did I make an impact? Did I do what I was supposed to do? And I think I try to always lead with helping people. I always try, like anyone who's injured, I always try to help them however I can. If it's, navigating bureaucracy is kind of my thing that I've kind of figured out is how to help people navigate bureaucracies. Like I was the nerd that read it and took, and tried to learn it to figure out how to navigate it.
Yeah.
And I think if, you don't take that accountability or you don't understand it, a lot of people are like, I don't want to read this. I mean, I'm dyslexic and I read it. And it's not a fun time read, but it's your rights, it's your life. So, if you need to navigate a bureaucracy, figure out how it works, and then you
Mhm.
can figure out how to make it work for you.
Mhm.
So that's
Incredible.
kind of, I want people to just also think of disabled people when you're living your everyday life. You can make a difference by just not maybe being an asshole. Please don't, when you see someone in a wheelchair, go slow down, speed racer, or you're gonna get a speeding ticket. Like, you're not the first person to ever say that. Like,
Yeah, you
we're
didn't make
over
that
it.
up. Yeah.
Yeah, like if you are at the grocery store and you are one of those people that you don't want to put your carts away, please go put your cart away, because now you're putting it in the accessible parking area that now is a barrier for me to get in and out of my vehicle. And
Yeah.
now I have to go and drive around or just scratch up my car. That's what I do now. It's just scratch up my car and I guess whatever, but that sucks. Like, why do I have to do that because you didn't want to put your cart away?
Mhm.
Like, that's just,
Yeah.
or don't go and park in an accessible spot if you don't really need it either.
Oh
You know,
yeah, happens
just
all the
because
time.
just because you have a tag that you got from a relative or a friend or whatever it is,
Yeah.
or you got it because you had a knee replacement and now you're running the Boston Marathon because you got the knee replacement, you're doing so great.
Yeah.
Just don't use it like that, right? Like, there's people that need it probably 10 times more. And just because you see other people abuse it doesn't give you the right to abuse it also,
Yeah.
and it is the difference between us having access or not. And I
Mhm.
think a lot of people don't realize that, especially in wintertime. Like, I have literally not found an accessible spot and just drove home because
Mm.
I'm just like, I'm not messing with all this in the middle of winter. Like, no,
Yeah.
you
No, I
know,
could imagine. I watched this guy on YouTube, the Cart Narc, and he literally, you know who I'm talking about?
I think I've seen his videos on TikTok.
Oh, he's amazing. He calls out the people that park in those spots and leave their carts, and
Yep.
he just won't let them leave until they put their cart away. And he keeps putting like a magnet on their car until they eventually just get out of the car and put the cart away. He's the best, cart narc. He's why I'm like scared to get caught by this guy, so I always put my cart away. Yeah,
I don't understand why people don't. Like, I'm like, I'm in a wheelchair, and when I'm by myself and I'm using a cart, I will literally push this cart to the corral. Like, we're not asking you to take it in the store, right? Like,
yeah,
just push it to the corral.
yeah.
Like, that's it. And I'm doing it and I'm in a wheelchair. Like, what's your deal? Like,
At the very least, put it on the grass or the dirt, so it's not in the spot. Yeah,
yeah, somewhere.
yeah.
I
Do
mean, I
something.
guess if the play, I mean, I've been to parking lots that didn't have cart corrals.
Yeah.
So then you would have to take it in. But even then, just take it in. Like, is it really that big? Like, I don't know. But
No.
everyone will take it in at Aldi's when you have a quarter to get back.
Oh, I know that might be the key. It's like that. I went to Aruba. It was the same thing. You got to put in the coin.
Really.
Yeah, you
See,
got
and everyone does it. I mean, no, and people are like, I don't want to lose that quarter.
Yeah,
So I'm going to go put it away.
yeah.
And it's like, really, a quarter is all it's going to take for you. Like, a quarter doesn't go far now. You can't even use it in a quarter machine. Like you're not even getting the bouncy balls
The
anymore. They're
quarter
like 50
machines,
cents.
the quarter machines are 50, 75 cents now. So
Yeah, so some of
yeah,
them are $1. I was like,
yeah.
the one was like $2 for a sticker. I'm like, man, back in my day, that was like maybe 50 cents for a sticker
That
like that.
wouldn't fly back then. No,
No, no. But I'm like, but now people are going and putting carts away for a quarter. I
no,
mean,
it's wild.
if that's all it takes, I don't know. I mean, but then people are like arguing in comments about like, oh, it's taking away jobs. I'm like, what is happening to society? Like, how did we get here? Like,
No.
just put the cart away, everyone. Is it that hard?
You
I
know
don't
it's the
know.
right thing to do. Like
Yeah.
you just put it away. That's why there's a cart corral.
Yeah, like the amount of
Yeah,
energy they're spending arguing the
yeah,
point, it could
yeah,
have been put away.
yeah.
It's like,
That's what the
do
guy
you,
always says. He's like, we've been arguing for 12 minutes. You could have put this cart away in 10 seconds, and then you'd be out of here.
yeah, maybe all these stores need to start the quarter thing and see if it actually. I've never seen a stray cart at Aldi's.
Yeah. No, Aldi got it down. I think
Yeah,
they cracked the code.
I mean, apparently a quarter is enough it takes for people not to be assholes. I mean, who would have thought? But here we are,
Hey,
but and I think a lot of people don't realize how it impacts people with disabilities when they're just throwing it in like the accessible, like you're like, oh, blocked off area, well, let's just throw it over there. And it's like,
yeah,
can you not?
yeah,
Like the only time I'll give it a pass is when I am at Walmart and those like motorized scooters.
yeah,
If those are out there, I kind of am like, okay, I get it a little bit, but I still get curious how they got from the car to the cart, and then
hmm
they're in a cart in the store, and then they needed to get to the but maybe it's a carrying issue. So I kind of am like, all right, if it's the motorized cart and you have some type of mobility fatigue thing, I'm like, okay, like you shouldn't leave it out in element. I'm kind of like, ugh, about that. You should probably like have asked a staff member, hey, can you come out with me and take it in when I'm done
yeah,
instead of leaving it out in the element. But that's probably the only time I'm like, okay, I can kind of understand that in this scenario, there might have been other circumstances that are play. I still
yeah.
feel like you should have had enough decency though to say something to a staff member.
Well, now people know the only time you got to pass is if you got the electric one and you have some kind of issue walking without. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, there's usually, I mean, if you're using that, there's usually a fatigue issue or an injury or there's a reason you're using that. Unless if you're just like a shit ass kid, like
Oh, they
hee-hawing
do that all
around.
the time. They do that all.
Yeah, like I'm like, so maybe, I won't give it a pass if it's shit ass kids hee-hawing around.
All
But
right.
typically what I've seen, it's usually like someone that I'm like,
They
oh
gotta
yeah.
they gotta go case by case and send them to your desk, and then
Yeah,
the judge off
yes.
like
We'll go ahead at
that's a
that
five
point.
hundred dollar fine. We'll let her slide. She's 95.
You
That's
know
fine.
what? That would be another thing. Why are there not fines for this? Like I
Yeah, there
feel
should
like
be. There should be
yeah,
like parking tickets. They should have cart tickets.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
the wind is blowing these carts against like people's cars and ruining them. They're gonna have to submit claims to insurances. Like
Yeah,
there's damages that can be done. I mean,
I
it really
know.
makes
I'm gonna
sense.
ask after this. I'm gonna ask ChatGPT like how much damage is caused by carts per year in parking lots. I bet you it's wild. I bet
Yeah,
it's some number.
it's probably something really stupid too, and it's like really like again. I feel like they should be finding people, but hey, who am I? I'm just, a girl trying to figure out life on wheels,
Well, Barb, we said a lot today. I think we covered it all.
including carts.
I didn't think we get into carts today, but we did. What are your social medias, and if you have any websites or anything that we can follow your journey?
Yeah, I am on it is the Instagram, and it is the Rolling Rainbow is my name on there.
Mm-hmm.
And I am also on TikTok. I also believe it's the Rolling Rainbow or Rolling Rainbow. I'm on YouTube as Rolling Rainbow Barb. So usually Rolling Rainbow in there is my handles. So
Awesome.
those are mostly where I'm at.
We'll follow you on there for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for taking your time to
Of course.
explain your story, and maybe help some other 21-year-old out there. Who knows?
Exactly. Life
Going through the same
happens
thing.
and you know, the world. So my thing is, I always tell people, you're going when you get injured, it's not going to be a fun time, but life isn't over. It's just not going to be fun for a bit, but once you get past it, it'll be okay. You'll figure it out.
Beautiful one right there. Thank you so much, Barb.
Of course. Thank you.
Everyone else, thank you again for watching another Fighter Heart podcast or listening. We will see you again next week.